This thing on? Mic check. I just want to make sure y'all can hear me clearly. Yeah. Should you practice art? Or should art be your practice? I had a question, so I asked it. Not to anyone specifically, but to my inner God, you know? The one that's gonna be a master. The one that's more than a rapper. The one that's an educator. The one that seeks enlightenment. He travels with concepts. He's got the mindset expansive. He understands that his time combined with travel and concepts makes his mind convex. Sort of like when you look at a brain scan.
Reggie here, and I want to welcome you to another one of my live streams. This live stream is known as Comics Today. It is a show that we have been doing for a couple of years now on Wednesday to celebrate the best day of the week, that being New Comic Book Day. And we did a previous show called Ready, Set, Go preview show. We retired that show, but maybe one day it will come back. But the show we're talking about right now, Comics Today, is one that we do to celebrate. And as part of this celebration, we typically come together. We have maybe a guest or two on. We talk about news and current events, things that are top of mind for me and might also be top of mind for you. But we use our guests to help us to gain some additional insight into some things that are happening out there. And this week, we are not going to have a guest. We had a guest last week. This week, it is just going to be me, which is a good thing because there is a lot that I want to talk about. I had some semblance of a show kind of outline things that I wanted to talk about. And then as I was taking the boy to flag football practice tonight, something else popped up that I want to dig into. But fingers crossed, we are going to be able to get to it all. I saw a ton of people here, including neighbor Neil. It's good to see you, brother. Neighbor Neil, it is always good to see you. My man Neo is up in here. In a second, I want to go to the chat to see what it is that you all may have picked up at your LCSs earlier today, because again, it's about new comics. And so if you hit your LCS, if you picked up something, I want to know what you picked up. If you want to shout out your LCS, feel free to do that. If you read something today or recently that was a good read that we should potentially put on the top of our reading stacks and or prioritize, I want you to let us know that as well. We are pushing back against the narrative that there are no good comics that come out right now. That is untrue. And as part of that, I need you guys to help me to push back against that false narrative. Potentially you picked up a book recently that is not a new book, but it is a new to you book. We want to hear about that as well. We want to live vicariously through you spending money. And if you're feeling super frisky, if you've set a goal for your collection, I want to know what that goal is. Fingers crossed that I can see those comments here as we rip through it. And as we get into some of the topics at hand, but I will be going to the chat here in a hot moment. Mark says, Dark Horse Comics North Bay held my pulls plus some treasures for 2 weeks. Randy is awesome. That's what's up. Let's be completely honest, Mark. You, sir, have had a lot going on in your life. And so I am confident that Randy recognizes that you are a loyal customer, and that is why he chose to hold those books for you. Plus, he wants your money. There is that part as well. My man Milt, how you doing, brother? He says, not many books, but I enjoyed the Planet of the Apes book, that Scotty and the Scotty Young cover in particular. That's what's up, Milt. It is always good to see you. Virtual Reality Fitness, how you doing? Welcome to the live stream. Did somebody else pick up something? What was that? I thought I saw something. I missed it. All right. So again, I had some things that I want to talk about, but we are going to rejigger some things to get to the news that just broke a short while ago. I was driving down the street trying to read, which is super dangerous. It was dark outside. The screen that I was trying to read was also a black screen with white writing. I am 40 some odd years old. Not a good look. I promptly put my phone down and revisited it once I got back here to the house. But CGC has made another update. We know that there was a scandal that broke a couple of weeks ago regarding an individual and maybe others making some changes to some CGC books, basically committing fraud. They were committing fraud, defrauding people of money by selling them books that have been modified. CGC put out a statement, I want to say about a week ago. They have updated that, and they have now released the list of books that they believe have been impacted. And this is what we're looking here. Updated CGC and CGC Comics statement on Holzer tampering incident. This was posted a short while ago. Let me see. I'm going to jump down here. It says, based on current information, we believe that approximately 350 books were affected by this scam that was going on. They have published a list of the impacted books, and I will scroll down in a second. They said, if you purchase one of the comics listed in this list, included in this list, you should submit it to CGC for review. And there's some details about what they're actually going to do if they get it and find out that your book is indeed one that has been modified. It says the list of impacted comic books will be periodically updated as books are submitted for review. Our goal is to remove all of the impacted certification numbers from the market and ensure that anyone who purchases one of these books is appropriately compensated for losses arising from any failure in our services. There is an admission of guilt there that they did mess up. And it, more importantly, there is the statement here that they are going to make people whole for any losses that have suffered. CGC exists to protect the collecting community, and in the last 36 years, we have certified more than 85 million collectibles. They are specifically talking about all of their divisions, which is a lot of it started with money, paper money, coins, gold coins, all that kind of stuff. That is the 36 years. The 85 million is inclusive of comics, collectibles, and also the coins and paper money and all that kind of stuff, just for a little bit of context. The trust that we have built in our community sometimes makes us a target for bad actors, and despite our vigilance, this individual tampered with some of our holders. Again, they are pointing to the fact that it is a single individual that is at fault. I will tell you, a video surfaced last week, I believe it was on Instagram, where somebody actually showed how to modify a CGC case, which doesn't give me a whole lot of comfort. My thought here is, even if you can, maybe you shouldn't. In addition to the initiatives described above and as previously reported, we have also retained a private investigative service and outside counsel to conduct a comprehensive review of this incident and our processes, blah, 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 blah. They kind of go through all that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, they are going to look into it, evaluate the book, and hopefully make people whole. And then you can see a list of the books. Adventures of Superman 625, Amazing Fantasy 15, signed by Stan Lee. A lot of copies of Amazing Spider-Man. A lot of Amazing Spider-Man books here as you kind of go through the list. 129, first appearance of Punisher. 194, a lot of copies of 194. Clearly they were on a roll with 194 and getting back 9.8 of that book specifically. Again, that's like a page. That is like a page of 194s right there. And I'm still scrolling. A Mark Jewelers 194 right there. A lot of copies and a lot of 9.8s. Here we have Amazing Spider-Man 238, another book that was modified, including a Mark Jewelers that was impacted here. Last week I spoke on this. I highlighted that I had heard that there were some Canadian price variants that were included in this. I was told that that was incorrect, and now we are seeing not just one, but a few different Canadian price variants on the list as well that were included in the scam. Amazing Spider-Man 252, some Mark Jewelers, a couple of copies of 300 in here. What you notice is that there is a lot of Spider-Man and also a lot of DC Comics. I'm trying to scroll through here to see if we can, Marvel Comics. Not a whole lot in the way of DC Comics. You see some Fantastic Four here, some Daredevil 1. I will tell you for a fact that I'm going to be taking a look at a couple of my books tonight. I don't know if my books are on this list because many of the books that I have graded, I submitted myself, but there are a lot that I have purchased No 9.8s that are super high grade, like and high dollar, like some of these that are in here, but a lot of copies of Incredible Hulk 181. No surprise there. Journey into Mystery, Iron Man. Again, the list is posted to CGC's website. I would encourage you guys to check it out to see if you have indeed purchased any books that might be affected by this situation. I don't know that I saw anything with a limitation as you need to respond within a certain period of time, but I do believe that there are a lot of dealers and a lot of individuals and comic shops that are going to be taking a look at their inventory today and over the next few days to see if they have any of those books that are affected by this thing. Was sus. The guy seemed to focus on a small set of books. Yeah, it seemed like he had a little bit of a niche. I'll be honest with you, I'm not completely surprised that there's a lot of Amazing Spider-Man on there. I'm not surprised at all. Spider-Man is arguably the most popular comic book character out there, period. That's my statement, right? So I'm not surprised to see, ASM 120, 129, ASM 300. I'm not surprised by that at all. The person definitely found a little bit of a niche there, and they kind of settled in and made some magic happen. What is that? I bought a Star Wars book, but little did I know you can't see anything on the cover because it's blacked out. Lots of volume to hide in, says Callie. That's what's up. Michael's on a roll. He's talking about the Epstein list. Brother, we don't get in those waters over here. We don't get, I will tell you, I've heard that Epstein list is going to be heavily redacted. There appears to be no redaction when it comes to the 350 books that CGC believes were impacted by this scam artist, by this bad actor. But let's see what that Epstein list actually shows. I've seen a couple of people comment on that on podcasts that I listen to. It'll be interesting to see what is actually shown on that list. So that was the first topic. Again, that was not what I planned to talk about tonight, but I needed to address it because the news broke not that long ago. So I wanted to make sure that I share with that. Trev, so if you remember when I spoke about this the other day, I released a video and I did a live stream. And I kind of talked about why I hadn't commented on this, and I was kind of spitballing on some of the things that CGC needed to do. Those things were, be transparent, disclose the list, take a hard look at your processes, take corrective action to fix them, make people whole. That was basically extent of my comments. I did not anticipate them saying we are going to hire a private investigator and we are going to attempt to prosecute this person. I did not expect that. I mean, at the end of the day, I think it'll be on the prosecutors down in Florida to take a look at the body of evidence and then to evaluate whether this is something that can be prosecuted. But I applaud CGC for taking the steps to go down that path. And fingers crossed, this person and anyone else that was involved in this scam, fingers crossed that they try to prosecute them, and if they are indeed found guilty, it bees what it bees. My other point is that CGC needs to take a hard look at what this person was doing, how they were doing it, and take corrective measures to prevent this from happening in the future, because this is huge. Now, what I will say, and I have said this for a very long time, anytime money is involved, there will be bad actors. That is just the nature of the beast. And the thing is that things like this can happen. It's a question of what preventative measures do you take, and then what processes do you put in place to try to detect these type of things sooner yourself versus having them be detected by someone else that is not the corporation, right? So we will see. We will see what comes out of this. The guy was smart. He knew better than to try and reach for counterfeiting a Captain America or an Action Comics 1. I mean, but let's be honest, he probably went out and bought one. I mean, with and I'm not trying to take away from your point, because I think your point is super valid. Like, let's pause, right? But he probably made so much money that he could go out and buy the real thing. That's what is really, really sad about this, Yeah, yeah, just crazy stuff. Paradise is up in the house. It's good to see you win. Security increases, usability usually decreases. CGC needs to strike the balance between security and there you go. Well said. Well said. I've seen all kinds of recommendations people put up about putting a serial number on the case and a serial number in the whale, the inner whale, or the sleeve that holds the book. There's all kinds of recommendations out there, but to your point, there has to be a balance, of giving people the ability to crack the book out for legitimate reasons, but making it difficult enough to make it challenging for someone to do a scam like this, right? And if the book is tampered, there should be something that makes that tampering pretty apparent. But fingers crossed that they're going to again evaluate what they're doing and take some steps. Sounds like CGC needs a much more robust security and anti-fraud department, says Mark. No doubt about that. The guy was smart in going, where did that comment go? Was smart in going after the highest desire, least rare books. Well, he did go after a couple of the Canadian price variants, which are, kind of, I don't know how many there were. I saw maybe, like the Mark Jewelers and stuff like that, right? I didn't tally up exactly how many Mark Jewelers there were. But again, if the total census for Mark Jewelers is like 10, and over a relatively short period it jumps to 20, that might be a red flag. I don't know. Again, I think CGC is going to have to take a look at this and try to see whether they can put something in place to kind of detect some of this stuff. I'm not overly familiar with the different slab companies, but how do the different slabs compare? Ryan, that is a good question. And there are several videos here on the channel in which I compare CBCS to CGC to EGS. So I would definitely encourage you to do a quick search. Regie Collects Slabs or Regie Collects, slabs or cases. You may be able to find a couple of videos. I think that is a topic that may be a little too big to try to encapsulate here. What I will tell you is, generally speaking, the cases are good. Generally speaking, the cases are good. Some are better than others in certain aspects. The labels are generally good. Some are better in different aspects. The companies themselves are generally good. And it comes down to some degree of personal preference. That is my cover off. That is my Tina hit the nail on the head. Maybe that's what he was asking for, Tina. I gave a whole roundabout answer. Maybe that's what he was looking for. Somebody commented on a video earlier today. They said maybe with the new label that CBCS has come out with, that the delta, the value delta that exists between CGC and CBCS will narrow. And I'm like, absolutely not, because I don't believe that the value gap delta exists because of a label. I do not believe that. There are other factors at play. People that saw the old label often cite that as a reason why they didn't want to go with CBCS, but that is not the reason for the value delta that exists. Hulk 181 with Marvel value stamp missing. Very clever. That definitely clever. How many Canadian price variants? All of my books. Scrolling through. Milt, please tell me you're not surprised by that. No, people don't normally run scams on Howard the Duck. That's just no, Milt. That people don't do that. High census books were targeted. Popular characters were targeted. Valuable books were targeted. No doubt about that. So weird how, because he knows better. He knew better. He knew about the Gibbon gang. You don't mess with the Gibbon, man. The Gibbon gang would have detected that right away, and we would have pulled up. We would have pulled up on him. It's on. Never mind. Let me not go there. Let me see. Is this something that may have happened at the other slabbing companies? I'm going to say no, Ryan. I'm going to say no. And the reasons for that is because CGC dominates the market. They have the vast majority of books. Their books command the best prices. I do not think that this is something. There was a reason why he chose certain books and CGC. Like, I think that there's a reason for it. Could it happen? Yeah, it could. But if you were to do it with a PGX book, for example, you're not going to get top dollar. You know what I'm saying? Like, CGC makes sense because you can get top dollar there. You know what I'm saying? Could it happen? Yeah, I think that many of the grading companies have had some type of scandal or scam or situation over the years. I don't know if there's anything as big as this one, though. I think that what has happened with these 350 books, that's pretty big. That's pretty big. I mean, CBCS lost books, but they lost fewer than 350 books based upon what I've heard. But 350 books, that's a lot. That's a lot. So scrolling through, CBCS now looks better, in my opinion. I'm not mad at you, Trevor. I'm not. Yeah, somebody else made the same comment. They were like, put the ID number on the inner and outer well. So for those folks that came in a little bit late, we spent a couple of moments here at the top of the show talking about the recent update that has come out from CGC regarding the. I'm trying to scroll here. What they call is the holder tampering incident. Others call it the scam, the scandal that went down, Holdergate. They disclosed that they believe 350 books were affected by this bad actor. They have disclosed all of those books. They are basically saying, hey, there's a process to have us to look at your books. Look at your book, see if you have the serial number. If you do, send your book to us. We will examine it. We may reach out to you for additional documentation. I'm guessing they're going to want to know, what did you pay for this book? When did you buy it? Who did you buy it from? That's my guess. They're basically saying that they're going to make people whole and reholder the book unless the grade needs to be modified. And it sounds like if the grade needs to be modified, they will reach out to you and have a conversation. It says, if your book is determined to be incorrectly graded, our support team will contact you. You may be asked to submit certain additional documentation as part of the review process. The statement above it, if your book is determined to be graded correctly, it will be reholdered with a new certification number and returned to you at no charge. So that is available right now. The statement, as is the full list, is available on CGC's website. It's either on the homepage, or if you click news, it is the very first news item that comes up. All right, let me take this off the screen. Let me see. I'm way behind on some of the comments. So let's be honest. So it's not 85 million. Comics a Voice. 85 million and 36 years is the full existence of CGC as a company. CGC primarily does pneumatic. I think that's the term, pneumatic, which is money, paper money, coins, that type of stuff. So the 36 million and 35 million in 36 years is all of the collectibles that they have graded in their entirety. That is not comics. The comics number is still like a stupid high number, like 20 million. I mean, that's still a stupid high number. So to your point, yes, 350 out of pick the number of million is not terrible, but I wanted to provide a little bit of context for that. He's over here doing the full math. He is doing the full math. Let me see. I'm scrolling through. Yeah. Again, if you, I heard CGC stands for counterfeit grade for customers. That's brutal, Seth. That is brutal. CGC needs to re-engineer their slabs. I don't know if re-engineer is the right thing. I would say they probably need to introduce a tamper-resistant element. And I don't know if that requires a complete re-engineering. When I hear re-engineering, I mean, I hear build it up from scratch. I don't know. I am not going to attempt to tell them how to fix their problem. Brian's up in here. How you doing, brother? It is good to see you. 20 million minus 350. Stupid. Let me see. I'm scrolling down. All right. So, well done. Well done. I say scrolling. Comics of voices saying calculating. Mathing. Mathing's not a word, but I think you knew that. All right. If you hit up your LCS, let me know what you picked up today. If you read something that was dope, let us know that. If you picked up a new book, let us live vicariously through you spending money. Let us know what's going on. Let me see. This could also have been caught if they regraded each reholdering. That would have also bogged down the system tremendously. What they do say is that they will regrade when they're reholdering if the book has had a significant deviation from the grade that is referenced on the case. So in my head, if you think about, I don't know that regrading each reholdering would be the answer. That would have absolutely solved the problem. But you talk about turnaround time to the point that Herman made earlier. It is about finding the balance. It is about finding the balance between being protective and still being able to offer a service that is appreciated. And I can tell you for a fact, if you guys remember how things were a few years ago with turnaround times and how unhappy people were then, everybody complained. It's taking too long. It's taking too long. It's taking too long. It's taking too long. I don't know if we want to go back to that, right? So the question is, where is the balance? Where is the balance? I am confident that there are people down in Sarasota, Florida, that are meeting to try to figure that out. Joey, how you doing, brother? He says ASM 300 signed by Mike Zeck. Not a new ASM 300, not a new book, but a new to you book. That's how I'm reading that. Squadron Supreme. That's what's up, and it predates the Watchmen. I give it an A. That's what's up. What is that? I bought Superboy 98, the first appearance of Ultra Boy. That's what's up. There you go. Congrats on that one. Justice for Comics says, thank God most of my collection is raw and not graded. 1 in 100 podcast, my man Amir, how you doing? Couldn't get to the shop. I have COVID, but I read Timeless, fun read. I'm sorry that you are not feeling well, but here's the good thing. You have time to catch up on your reading. You have an opportunity. You have a unique opportunity, sir, to read all of those books that you wanted to read, but you haven't had time because of other things. Now that you have the vid, you can take the time. Kneel before Zod, number 1, Shazam, number 7, says Trev, the shipping guru. Shout out to Patreon members. Shout out to people like Trev who are members of the channel here on YouTube. I appreciate you all. Kevin Pitts, how you doing, man? It is good to see you. Scrolling down through some of the comments here. Comics of the Voice says, I picked up Planet of the Apes number 1, Doctor Strange 11, Kid Venom 1, Marvel Zombies 4. Look at me, sir. Your comic shop loves you. That is an extensive list of books. I have a package on the way from FedEx. That's what's up. Love it. Amen to the raw, says Seth. Scrolling down, my LCS has not gotten a shipment from multiple distributors in 3 weeks. Wow, that's bananas. That is bananas. What's the cause? It's not just holidays. I'm guessing there's some weather issues going on as well. Didn't get out to Nirvana Comics, a little under the weather today, brother. I hope that you feel better. Shout out to Nirvana Comics. They joined us last week. Jasmine and Grant were on the show last week. What's cool is that I think they're sending me some books. They're sending me some books to do a giveaway because I think that they had fun on the show. So stay tuned because we may be giving away a couple of those books. Justice for Comics, also Swan Song number 6, the 1 in 50 Ice Cream Man cover variant. That's what's up. Scrolling through, recently bought Hollow. There you go. That's what's up. Scrolling. What did Mill get? People saying congrats. What did Milt get? Also found a Dracula number 1. I never knew. Milt, I want to be like you, sir. I want to be like you, Milt. I want to find fantastic books in my collection that I did not know that I had. I miss those days, Milt, of going through a collection and discovering all types of wonderful things. I want to be you, Milt. That's all I'm going to say. I'm scrolling down through the comments. Steve likes the thick stats. Oh my goodness. My LCS does love me or my money, not sure. It's you. I am confident that it is you. It is not about the money. It is not about the money. It is you, sir. That is what they love. What is that? My timing is wonderful. I'm getting my very first shipment of CGC books tomorrow. That's what's up. It happens, man. Here's the thing. If you sent the books in, you're probably safe. And somebody made that comment. Somebody was like, let me get this straight. If I sent my books into CGC and received my books from CGC, there's no problem there. True. True. If you happen to pick up some big dollar, not even big dollar, if you happen to pick up some books from a third party, then you want to take a look at your books, right? You definitely want to take a look at your books because even if you didn't buy from this person, I heard that this person sold to comic shops and dealers and that kind of stuff. So the books could have just been out there in the universe and you could have been one of the heck, I could be one of the unlucky people that has that book in my comic book room. And rest assured, I'm going to be looking at that book, that list a little bit later tonight. Scrolling down, I says, long time. It's good to see you, brother. Only Venom today. Somebody is calling me from Kansas. I don't know who you are. We're going to decline that. Chris Bigger's up in here. How you doing, brother? It is good to see you. I am going to jump into my next topic. It says, I love, what is that? I love my graded books. If people become distrustful of CGC, good. I hope the prices drop even more so I can pick up my grails for super cheap. Jedi, look at me, bro. Look, Jedi, look at me. That is one way to be contrarian, sir, and I applaud you. I applaud you because I potentially will be right there with you. I will be right there with you. Just being honest. If prices continue to drop as a result of this because people are losing confidence, I'm going to scoop up some great books. I'm going to scoop up some great books. I will be contrarian. You can oftentimes succeed by doing what others won't do. And if people are fearful and standing on the sidelines, that is a great opportunity for you to capitalize. And I don't mean that in a negative way. I don't mean that in a negative way. If you think back to where prices were over the last several years, people getting priced out of books, people looking at second, third appearances, I caught a shadow of this character, so therefore this book is worth something. That is where we were because prices were redunculous. Prices aren't necessarily there now, which is why I've been picking up books. And if people lose confidence in CGC, I'm picking up some books because now we know what's on the list. We know which books potentially were affected. I've heard that you can look at the case in some cases to see if the book was modified. I don't know if that's true. I'm throwing it out there. You do your own research. But I will potentially be buying books. I will tell you that right now. I want to upgrade a couple of books. And so, yeah, there you go. Score. What is that? Score some cheap Comics and Voice. I don't know if I've ever seen you in a live stream before. But I want to invite you to keep coming back because I enjoy you. I enjoy you not as much as I enjoy this guy right here. Scooposaurus Rex, brother, with the little arms and all. Gonna be scooping him up. I will tell you, gotta make the magic happen. When other people are not buying, I'm just going to pull the trigger and be contrarian because if I'm in a position to do so, I am going to seize the opportunity. We are about a week away right now from Echo dropping, and we just learned that Echo is getting dubbed in Choctaw language. I think that's how you say that. Echo is heading to Disney Plus and Hulu next week, 2024. Check it out. I was always taught you never start a sentence with a number. I don't know how I feel about comicbook.com right now. 2024 is finally here, and the first Marvel Studios project of the year is less than a week away. Echo is headed to Disney Plus and Hulu and marks the first MCU series to be rated TVMA, probably because Vincent D'Onofrio beat the snot out of somebody in the trailer. That was a wicked trailer. I'm looking forward to seeing this show. The new show continues the story of Maya Lopez, the character who was first introduced in the MCU and Hawkeye back in 2021. It was previously confirmed that Echo will also feature flashbacks to the main character's ancestors. That's why the Choctaw Nation is cited in this article, and it says, considering the show's huge connection to the Choctaw Nation, it is no surprise that the show will be available in that language. And they're working with the Choctaw Nation of Oklahoma, and they are translating this thing. They're going to dub it in that language. Some people might say that this is woke. I think that in my mind, this is kind of sort of diversity done right. You have a unique character that has always existed this way, that is authentic to that culture, and now they're going to dub it in that language. I think, and with the guidance of those same people, I think that this is how you should actually do some diversity, right? Diversity is good if it's done right. I think that this is right. Hopefully people will see it that way. I've already seen some comments where people are like, the show is going to be trash. I'm like, based upon what? Because the trailer was dope. So you can't say that the show is going to be trash because the trailer was fantastic. Fingers crossed that they make magic with this TVMA, which is essentially like the TV's rating for an R movie or whatever. Fingers crossed that they make use of that in a smart way and give us a well done show. And I do believe that they're releasing all of the episodes at once. I am looking forward to watching this one. Fingers crossed that this show is fantastic and we can get away from all of the superhero fatigue, which is basically code for trash content. That is basically code for trash content. Put out good content and do it right. And I think that it will resonate with people. Let me go to the chat real quick to see if anybody's making any comments on that. People are trashing things before they come out because they want everyone to be miserable. Frog Brawler, let's take a pause on that comment because I think that there is something to that. I think that there is something to that. I think it's also people want to say that it's trash as soon as they possibly can, because if it's not good, then they can say, I told you so. I told you that it was going to be trash. What you never hear is show's trash. I watched the show and I was wrong because the show is actually good. You never hear that part. You never hear that part. You only hear the negative of the show being trash based upon nothing, based upon generally nothing, based upon stuff that happened in the past. So they are projecting to the future with no true awareness of that the future isn't necessarily always tied to the past and past performance and all that stuff. You got to give it a chance, people. That's what Liger Style says. Matt Wood says, sorry, I'm late. You can start the show now. I want to welcome to, no, I'm just playing. Maybe Echo will be the turning point. Fingers crossed. I mean, leave it to the pastor to be super positive, right? Fingers crossed. Fingers crossed. And I said this before. The strike that hit Hollywood may have actually been a good thing for Marvel. Marvel had already signaled that they were going to cut back on the amount of content that they were releasing. And then the strike happened and all of the outrage. Maybe this gave them a chance to take a look at what they were doing right and what they were doing wrong. Maybe it gave them a chance to take a look at the stories and the scripts and ask themselves some tough questions as to whether this meets the standard for good content. And hopefully they rejiggered some things. At least that's my belief. When you look at what happened with Daredevil, they never looked at the script. They never did a pilot. They filmed half the episodes and then they were like, oh, this is crap. We need to redo it. So fingers crossed that they, I probably shouldn't say the C word with the pastor on the screen, but maybe they use this time wisely. Fingers crossed. And maybe this is a turning point for the MCU. Fingers crossed. Scrolling down through some of the comments here. 100% Reggie, it's the whole control the narrative thing. Scrolling down through some of the comments here. They want the fall of Disney. That's why. Well, I think we're going to talk about that. Yeah, we're going to talk about that. I'm most excited for the return of Daredevil in the show because Daredevil and She-Hulk, that ain't it. When he was doing the walk of shame, I was kind of like, I don't know about that, right? But you know, I saw people saying that the show ruined the character, and I'm like, so no, TV show can't ruin the legacy of a character that's been around for decades, no, you're not a real fan, in my opinion. If you think that a TV show or a movie done wrong ruins the legacy of a comic book character, no. I completely reject that. That is not what you're saying here, but I know what you're saying. Hopefully the version of Daredevil that we get in the MCU by Charlie Cox is a solid version of him. And if what we saw with Vincent D'Onofrio in the Echo trailer is what we're going to get, the violence, not for the sake of violence, but violence for the sake of it being a more adult content that is more gritty, sign me up. Sign me up for it. Scrolling through. Well done. Well done. I'm scrolling through. I'm way behind on the comments here. Chuck is up in the house. It's good to see you. Marvel had a little timeout due to the strike. So it was the comic god saying, sit there, think about what you did. And when you think you can do better, come out of the corner. As someone that has young children that oftentimes sends them to the corner, I like this analogy, sir. I do like it. You have God in there. Oh, you said comic God. Same difference. I'm on board either way. But I dig what you're saying. Natasha's up in here. How you doing? I think people have different reasons to say it's trash. That's the ones that call it trash just because they can. Others to voice their own disappointment in the past shows. Don't disagree with that, Natasha. It is good to see you. Cheese is up in the house, says, I can't wait for Blade. I think that benefited from the strike. The standards should be higher. Mahershala Ali is on point. Facts, facts, and more facts. Blade should be done right. Blade should be done right. I'm excited to see that one. Fingers crossed that they can actually get out of their way. The last update that we got from Mahershala Ali was that things were headed in a very good direction. Fingers crossed that that means that they are actually moving forward with writing the script and ultimately giving us a movie in a timely manner. I will be the first to say that the MCU quality has gone downhill since Endgame, but we have to give it a chance to right the ship. They created gold once before and they can do it again. Let's be honest. At this point, they're really just comparing themselves to themselves. They are the most successful franchise ever. $30+ billion in box office, another $40 billion in merchandising. That is a huge success. They're literally being compared to themselves. Generally speaking, right? Generally speaking, they are being compared to themselves. But let's be honest, they were spending way too much money. They had not the best controls in place to ensure that quality was there, and they suffered the consequences, right? They essentially did it to themselves. Fingers crossed that they can undo it to themselves. Hopefully that made sense to some people out there. I don't know. At the end of the day, you guys are going to be the judges of it. Blade has got to have Wesley Snipes cameo. I have spoken. Fingers crossed. I've gone back and watched the original Blade 1 and 2. Fantastic movies. I will tell you, I definitely enjoyed that. I think the MCU will benefit from this break in content. Fingers crossed that indeed they do. For those folks that are coming in a little bit late, we spent some time talking about the CGC scandal that broke a couple of weeks ago. They have disclosed that 350 books were involved in this holder tampering incident. They have published the list to their website. They are basically stating that they are going to make people whole if they indeed have some of these books. I would encourage you to head over to the CGC website to see if you have any impacted books. The other thing that we spoke about ever so briefly was about the fact that Echo is getting dubbed in Choctaw language. So it's Native American, and they're basically doing a Choctaw Native American dub on top of it to make it a little more authentic. I think we'll probably get the English version, but you'll have the ability, I'm guessing, to toggle on and off the Choctaw language if that is something that you actually want to hear. So I think everybody's caught up at this point. Then the second thing that I wanted to talk about was Disney. People are indeed praying for the downfall of Disney because of some of their bad behavior, right? They've done some stuff that they probably shouldn't have done. Let's be completely honest about that. But people are indeed praying for their downfall, but they have slipped. They have indeed slipped. Universal overtakes Disney as the highest grossing studio at the 2023 box office. Disney has been the top dog for a long time. They put out a ton of movies, and those movies historically have done well up until recently. And people will say, go woke, go broke. They will cite this as evidence of that coming to fruition. But let's dig in. Let's dig in beyond the headline. It says the company slate. Oh, so let me back up. Thanks to Mario, Oppenheimer, and Megan, Universal Pictures ranked as the highest grossing studio for 2023 at the box office. The company slate, that being Universal's, included a range of 24 movies. And they highlight here a couple of them. Super Mario Brothers, Oppenheimer, and Megan. Collectively, these 24 movies brought in $4.9 billion in worldwide ticket sales. That's a lot of money. Universal's victory is notable because it marks the first time since 2015 that Disney has not been the global box office leader. Disney has dominated up until 2023. It says Disney slid into second place in terms of market share as its 17 new films, which included Guardians of the Galaxy, Indiana Jones, and The Little Mermaid, raked in $4.827. So they were off $80 million. And it says in a note to the press, the studio partially attributed the $80 million difference to the fact that Disney released 7 fewer movies than Universal in 2023. It also went on to stress that Disney had the most titles of any studio in the top 10 this year, with 4 of the highest grossing global releases and 3 of the biggest domestic releases among them. So an interesting article here where when you just read the headline, go woke, go broke, it pays off, but then you dig in a little bit deeper and you see that they didn't put out as many movies and they fell short by $80 million. Now, if I had $80 million, that would be a lot of money. But when you're talking about the fact that they brought in basically $5 billion, 80 million, it's not a drop in the bucket, but it is a smaller number, right? So people will take away from this what they will. My hope is that Disney gets itself together, mostly because I care about the Marvel stuff, not necessarily about the Disney stuff as a whole, but really about Marvel getting itself together, focusing on content. Because rest assured, had they put out 17 movies and the Marvel movies been of the quality that we have come to expect, this headline would not be there. Believe that. If they had put out high quality Marvel movies and continued the success that they were seeing in 2020, 2021, 2022, this headline would not exist. It would be Disney continues to dominate everybody and their mother thanks to Marvel movies delivering again. That's what the headline would have been, but they didn't focus on quality, they focused on quantity, and they suffered the consequences as a result of this. But this is a good article that I found on Variety. Let me bounce over to the chat real quick to see what people are saying. Comic Nerd says, Reef, how you doing, brother? It is good to see you. Liger Style says, facts. Hopefully you're agreeing with what I just said. I don't know. Don the second, how you doing, brother? He says, exactly. Tell the stockholders 80 million is nothing, money left on the table. And again, I'm being grossly exaggerating here, but let's be honest, their gross revenues for Q3 was $23 billion. I do believe it was $23 billion. So again, even though the movies fell short by 80 million, Disney still makes money hand over fist, right? The movies is not, I don't think, primarily how Disney actually makes its money. So again, they brought in $23 billion for the quarter, for Q3. But again, 80 million, nothing to sneeze at. If it were my money, that'd be serious money. But there you go. Disney made me scared of spinning wheels. Very bad stuff indeed. I respect that. Again, I believe, what is that? I believe that the most important thing should be movies, the character building, and the shows. Most important thing should be the comics, in my opinion. Give me good quality comics. Second, give me good quality movies and TV shows. I respect that though. Dude, I used to love Marvel, and after Endgame, I completely checked out. Why? Why did you check out? What specifically did you see that resulted in you checking out? Was it the fact that that it took 10 years for us to get to Endgames and you were just done with it? Or was there something that you saw that got you fed up? That's my question to you. That's my question to you, brother. Let me know. Oh, yes, you're agreeing. There we go. There we go. Scrolling through, I just sold the 7 Dwarf set for $25. What is that? If Batgirl had been released, Warner might have been up there. Milk. No milk. No milk. Disney sells some toys too, doesn't it? And that Mark, you and I have spoken about this repeatedly. I've commented and you've built upon my comments. The movies, I don't believe, is how Disney makes its money. Again, think about what I said earlier. The MCU at one point brought in 30 some odd billion dollars in box office. That money is not Disney's. That money is shared with AMC and Regal and all the theaters that are out there. They get a portion of that money. But they made $40 million in merchandising. I think the profit margin is much higher with merchandising, advertising, the theme parks, all of that stuff adds up to why they brought in $23 billion in a quarter, because it's not just about the movies. The movies, in my opinion, are a byproduct of what they really try to deliver. That is a byproduct. Of course, they want the movies to do well, but the merchandising, the advertising agreements. Do you know how many Marvel Legos I bought for my boy and how many Marvel Legos have been bought for my boy? And they're not exactly cheap, let me tell you. There you go. Yeah, the movies are part of the marketing and the funnel. There you go. I lost interest because of Iron Man dying. There you go. There you go. There you go. No, yeah, that was the pinnacle. That was what if you go back and think about all of the movies that we watched, Iron Man and Hulk and all of those movies that got us to Endgame. You know what I'm saying? There were 10 years of movies being made to get to Endgame, and you can't expect a franchise to be at its peak forever. That's why it's called a peak, because typically what comes after the peak is the decline. The question becomes, can they rebuild and reach another peak? Maybe not as high as before, maybe higher. You don't know, but they have an opportunity. They have an opportunity. Disney doesn't make much money at all. What does that say? I think they're losing on it. I mean, Disney Plus doesn't make much money at all. I think yes, I believe that they are losing money on it. But I think it was Warner Brothers that did a bunch of deals recently. They sometimes, and you guys know this, sometimes companies use initiatives as loss leaders because there are other things that they get out of it. Like they know going into it, they're going to lose money. Many new businesses lose money in the early years because you're making an investment into it. The question becomes, how long will they allow Disney Plus to lose money? What is the path for them to make money? Because I'm sure that they put together projections of, we're going to invest in this thing, we're going to lose money for X amount of time, but at this point we expect to start turning a profit. This number of subscribers, this number of years in. I don't know what that ramp looks like. Maybe it's disclosed in the 10K or the annual report. People will have to take a look at that. And how many Marvel Legos have you seen? Brother, Marvel Legos, or Legos in general, are like the devil's teeth. They are like the devil's teeth, pure evil. Pure evil. Devil's granola, devil's bacon, and devil's teeth is what Legos are. There you go. Legos are expensive and plentiful. No, I didn't even see that. Well done, Chris. Well done. The Lego Avengers Tower is more expensive than a real Avengers Tower. And just wait, when Legos retire, that's when they get stupid expensive. Like they're expensive to start with, but then when they stop making it, that's when it really gets. Did you all see the smash and grab, and I think it was Las Vegas. Bricks and Minifigs, I think is what it's called. They did a smash and grab at a Lego store. They specifically went after a lot of the Star Wars Lego sets and sets that were on the top shelf because that's where they put the expensive Legos. People are smashing and grabbing Lego sets like they smash and grab jewelry stores. There are bad actors, aka criminals, that use Legos as a form of currency because it's like cash. It's like you can't carry a duffel bag full of money and get stopped by the police, but you can have some Lego sets. It's I'm being smart about it, but these are articles that I've actually seen where they are using Legos as currency and they're doing smash and grabs on Lego stores. My kids actually go to a bricks and minifigs store not too far from the house. And when I saw the store thing, I was like, is that my local shop? And it wasn't. It was actually out in Las Vegas. So scrolling through some of the comments, I'm way behind. Make sure your kid takes care of the Legos so you can sell them. Brother, my wife sometimes breaks them down and sticks them in a bag and seals them away. And I'm always telling my boy, just build them and put them on a shelf. Don't touch them. Like we've bought special shelves for him to be able to put his Legos up. And anytime I go in his room and I see a Lego in pieces, my heart dies just a little. But he says, don't worry, Dad. And from memory, he reconstructs it and then puts it back on the shelf. I think I used to be the same way as a kid, taking stuff apart and then putting it back together. My hope is that he just doesn't lose the pieces. That's my hope. My drug dealer is the same guy as my Lego dealer. You see what I'm saying? My boy has a closet full of Legos right now that he will get to in the 6 months ahead. That's how many Lego sets he got for Christmas from us and from other family members. He has Lego gift cards and all that kind of stuff. So he's big on that. Lego sets, what is that? Lego sets now are like Pokemon cards 5 years ago. There you go. It is serious. My kid will build them, take them apart, and then build something new. My kid also does that, but I try to protect the really nice sets like the Marvel stuff. He's big on the Ninjago, these dragons and all this stuff he builds. The Marvel stuff I try to set aside. The Star Wars stuff I try to set aside. He built this Black Panther that has to weigh 25 pounds. It might weigh 25 pounds. It's the bust of Black Panther. I had to carry it from downstairs to upstairs. I never sweat so much. And it wasn't because it was heavy that I was sweating. I was afraid that pieces were going to start to fall off this thing and it was just going to disintegrate in my head. Like that was the mental picture that I had. And I was profusely sweating because I did not want to damage his Legos, So he spent a long time putting that one together because it was complicated. So I am running out of time here, but I do want to talk about one other topic here ever so briefly. It's kind of a two-parter, so we're going to get into it. Aquaman 2 box office passes the Marvel's entire global gross in just 2 weeks. And from that headline, you might be like, well, Aquaman 2 is doing really well. In comparison, it is. Shout out to Chris Bigger for sending this one to me. But indeed, Aquaman 2 has surpassed the Marvels. But I want to throw up real quick this additional headline, and then I'm going to read some numbers off to you guys. That is not what I wanted. Here we go. This is the one I think. Aquaman 2 laps The Flash at global box office. And this one dropped earlier today. Very corny here. The Flash is faster, but Aquaman has legs. Cameron, no. No, Cameron, that is not what we want to say. By the numbers, Aquaman 2 has brought in $259 million globally. 85 million of that comes domestically, 174 million international. Again, Aquaman 259 after a couple of weeks. The Marvels 205 globally. But interestingly enough, 85 million domestically, rounded up from 84.4. So technically it's 84 million, which is not that far off. Aquaman 2, 85 million domestically. The Marvels, 84.4 million domestically. So not far off. The international is the big difference here. Internationally, Marvel's brought in 121 versus 174 for Aquaman. Flash has brought in $270 million globally, which is more than Aquaman. Aquaman 2 brought in 259, Flash 270. And then domestically, Flash brought in 108 million, and then internationally 164 million. So Aquaman is doing better than Flash, specifically in the international market. That's where they're outperforming. Same for the Marvels. What I do not know is if the number of countries is equal, right? If you remember, China and some other countries were boycotting some Marvel and DC movies and just some American movies in general. I did not do a comparison of total outlets internationally with Aquaman 2 versus that of Marvel's and Flash, because maybe that is why there is a difference between the two. I believe that the director is Chinese. There is a reason why Aquaman 2 was released. I think it was in China first. It was released internationally first. There is a reason for that. And potentially that is part of the reason why it is outperforming these other movies. So again, when you read the headlines, you have an initial takeaway. But then when you start to dig a little bit deeper, there's some layers there that you have to peel back to better understand what is being said. The headlines are to grab your attention. You have to read the additional parts to really put it in its proper context. Wondering, do drug dealers deal in graded comics? I am not going to touch them. They might. I mean, slinging is slinging. Slinging a slab. Never mind. Let me stop. Aquaman 2 doesn't show here until the ice melts in the spring, says Mark. Canada's brutal up there. James Wan. There you go. James Wan. Is he Chinese? Is James Wan Chinese? I don't want to speak out of turn, but I think that he is, and that's why they released it internationally. Bottom line, MCU needs a very hard reset. I don't know if I agree with that. They need to improve quality. Improve the quality. Keep doing what you're doing. Improve the quality. I don't need a complete reboot or reset, right? Keep doing what you're doing. Just make better movies. Make better movies. Super simple. Super simple to me. I still prefer Submariner, but lawyers will never let him be free. Not like Mickey. Steamboat Willie is now in the public domain, and they are turning Steamboat Willie into a horror movie. That's what happens when lawyers don't get their way. Let me see. I'll scroll through some of the comments here, see what else you guys are talking about real quick. Passing the Marvels was not that hard. You see what I'm saying? Like, they make it seem like it's a big deal, but then when you really dig into the numbers, Aquaman 2, 259 million, the Marvels, 205 million, Flash, 270 million. They're all not necessarily doing what they did before, which is billion-dollar movies, right? Aquaman 1 billion, what was it, 1.1, 1.2? The Marvels, which is a sequel to Captain Marvel, that movie was what, 1.1, billion dollars. The Flash just failed to reboot. But think about it. Aquaman 2 isn't doing as well as the Flash. And we know what was happening with Ezra Miller. Not a good look. All right, it's because he had all the fish. Scrolling through the comments. All right, so Tina is awesome. I don't know what the heck you guys are talking about, but I do agree. That Tina is awesome. 100% Reggie, give us a quality movie. We will flock back to the theaters for superheroes. Into the Spider-Verse proves that. I think Guardians of the Galaxy to some degree might prove that as well. That movie was not terrible. It was not terrible. But with that said, focus on quality. Tell good stories. If you're going to do diversity, just do it the right way. Just don't pander. Tell good stories. People will watch, right? Take a hard look at yourself. Ask yourself, what were you doing wrong? What can you do better? Those are the questions. Focus on quality. There you go. All right, scrolling through. All right, with that, let's go ahead and wrap this thing up. I want to thank you guys for hanging out with me. I hope that you guys enjoyed this show. If you did, I want to encourage you to go ahead and give the video a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, I want to personally invite you to tap that button. Just go ahead and subscribe. Turn on notifications. That way you won't miss out on any of the content. When this video gets posted, I am going to randomly pick one person to send a thank you bundle to. I have some stuff from the folks over at Skybound that I'm going to bundle up and send it out to you. But you have to leave a comment. You have to leave a substantive comment on the video once it gets posted, not in the chat. And you could even say, Tina's awesome. That's substantive. That is substantive for me. With that said, if you guys want to reach out to me, feel free to do so on Instagram at Regie Collects. Take care.
Straight off meditation, we was concaving until we had that eternal dialogue that created our dialect. Now we in distinct rooms with pure souls having them conversations. Synergy and combinations. You gliding, we waiting. Indian style in the gold temple of greatness. When you follow the North Star, you coming for the education. This is my audio book. These rhymes are just the imagery. More like an audiographic novel or a memoir about a young MC making timeless music with his mentor. I pray I grasp my letters. Nothing was meant to last forever.